Hello and welcome back to INMR, where in today's podcast I'm going to be explaining why Man United are so desperate to sign Manuel Ugarte. Man United fans have been keeping a close eye on Manuel Ugarte during this summer's transfer window. The 23-year-old defensive midfielder has been on the club's radar for several weeks, but the interest has cooled after PSG demanded €60 million in early August. They're now looking at sorting out a loan deal. As the transfer window reaches its final days, Ugarte remains a potential option to strengthen the defensive midfield, but it's looking more likely that a loan move is going to take place. So today we're going to be looking at what Ugarte excels at, areas for improvement, what he's going to bring to United, and potentially some alternatives to consider. First up, what makes Ugarte so good? So he was signed by Sporting Lisbon in 2021 as the replacement for João Paulinho, who moved to Fulham, and he quickly established himself as a formidable ball winner in Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3 setup. He caught the eye of both PSG and Chelsea, but the French side ultimately won the bidding war in the summer of 2023, and Ugarte made an immediate impact in Ligue 1. He's a defensive midfielder who takes pride in his defensive abilities, known for his high athleticism and intensity. He's a pacey midfielder and is relentless in his pursuit of the ball. He's often deployed as a double pivot alongside a more progressive passer. Ugarte has a keen sense for opportunities to regain possession and will aggressively hunt down the ball. He's great at tackling opponents who take heavy touches and enjoys disrupting attacking players who are not fully aware of their surroundings. Throughout his career, Ugarte is focused on regaining possession and making simple passes to more creative teammates rather than being the one to make those killer passes into the forward players. He's only scored 4 goals in 200 senior club matches, however his relentless energy make him a valuable asset in the middle of the pitch. Ugarte's arrival at PSG coincided with the appointment of Luis Enrique as the club's manager. Enrique, known for his preference of a possession-based style of football, has previously worked with world-class defensive midfielders such as Sergio Busquets and Rodri. This style requires midfielders to be comfortable in receiving and passing the ball under pressure, which is a skill set that Ugarte is less proficient in. Ugarte's conservative passing style make him somewhat of an awkward fit in Enrique's system. He averaged just 4.1 progressive passes and 0.7 key passes per 90 last season in Ligue 1, which are both below the league average for midfielders, which were 5.4 and 1.2 respectively. Additionally, Ugarte's see the ball, win the ball approach to defending often left him out of position, creating challenges for Enrique's meticulously organised system. Despite these issues, Enrique has praised Ugarte for his character and potential for improvement. However, PSG's 2-1 defeat to AC Milan in the Champions League exposed the mismatch between Ugarte's full-throttle approach and Enrique's demand for positional discipline and ball progression. Ugarte struggled against Milan's clever passing, winning only 3 out of 15 duels and earning a booking for a cynical challenge after being subbed on at the hour mark. Ugarte featured in just one more Champions League game that season, with Enrique preferring other midfield options. In addition to these stylistic differences, there is a question as to whether Ugarte has struggled to adapt to the intensity of a top 5 league. His defensive numbers, such as tackling dribblers, interceptions and aerial duel success, have all declined compared to his final season at Sporting. He also appeared less confident on the ball, often opting for sideways passes rather than advancing forward, which led to possession losses and even shots on goal that required saves from Donnarumma. So, those are some reasons why PSG might be willing to sell, and things that he will definitely need to improve on if he's going to be a number 6 in a United midfield. But in terms of what he can bring to United, his ball-winning style could see Ten Hag revert to a strategy used during parts of the 2022-23 season, which emphasised defensive solidity. Ugarte is a proven ball winner who could provide defensive security that Casemiro offers, albeit with less aerial dominance and ball-handling ability. United's recent signings suggest a focus on acquiring young players that are 25 and under, with impressive technical and physical skills. Ugarte could fit this mould, potentially acting as a provisional defensive midfielder, while the club continues to identify a long-term target, which we'll get onto later. His presence would add pressing and counter-pressing strength in the midfield, supporting United's defensive structure. With new signings like De Ligt and Mazraoui, Ten Hag now has options for ball progression and build-up play in defence. In theory, a back four of De Ligt, Mazraoui, Martinez and Dalot would allow Ugarte to focus on ball retention and circulation, where his short, simple passes could be beneficial. Ugarte's defensive tenacity and athleticism could strengthen a United side that has struggled with defensive vulnerabilities in recent years. Additionally, his impressive fitness record suggests that he could be well prepared for the Premier League season. However, Ugarte is not a complete player just yet. There are layers to his game that are yet to be unlocked, but with the right development, he could grow. Whilst Ugarte's aggressive ball-winning style could fill a critical gap in United's midfield, there are concerns as to whether he's better suited for a lower possession system rather than one that emphasises control. Earlier this year, Ugarte discussed the differences in pace of play under Luis Enrique at PSG and Marcelo Bielsa in the Uruguayan national team. Bielsa's system, much like the one he implemented at Leeds United, emphasises quick ball movement and high tempo. Uruguay, who averages 53% possession at this year's Copa America, made 21% of their passes forward, which is a massive contrast to PSG's 63% possession and only 14% of passes going forward in the Champions League last season. For context, United's poor season last year saw them average 50% possession with 33% of their passes going forward. Ugarte's final season at Sporting also suggested that he thrives in a system that prioritises quick ball progression rather than intricate build-up play. In his previous teams, there's been various approaches to possession, with Sporting and Uruguay leaning more towards quick transitions, which suited Ugarte's style better. While it's too early to draw definitive conclusions about United's approach this season, their recent match against Fulham showed promising signs. United had 56% possession, with 31% of their passes going forward. They pressed high up the pitch, averaging 4.8 passes per possession, and focus their attacks on the wings, which could make Ugarte's conservative passing an asset in their build-up play. However, if United shift to a system that relies heavily on patient, possession-based football, Ugarte will struggle, and there's literally no point in bringing him in on loan. His stint at PSG suggests that he didn't fully adapt to the increased pace and physicality of a top-5 league, raising questions about how he might cope with the demands of the Prem. United fans may be concerned that if Ugarte continues his habit of ball hunting high up the pitch, it could leave the players behind him very vulnerable. There are alternatives to consider. Man United have explored several other midfield options to provide depth or potentially succeed Casemiro in the number 6 role. One option was Sander Berg, but he has just signed for Fulham. I think Adam Wharton would be an excellent buy, but that's going to cost a lot of money, and I don't think Palace are going to be willing to get rid of him just yet. But in the coming windows, that's somebody that I think Ten Hag and the club should definitely look at. The challenge for United is finding a defensive midfielder who not only wins tackles but understands positional discipline, qualities that are essential for a balanced midfield so that United can have a bit more control in matches. As the transfer window comes to a close, United's recruitment decisions will be crucial in determining whether they can build a more assertive and technically sound squad. The potential purchase of Ugarte represents both a massive opportunity but also a massive risk, and the question has to be asked as to whether he is the right fit for United's evolving style of play. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there's plenty of others you can go and watch. For extra content, check out my website, that's inmrfootball.co.uk. On there you can find match reports, live blogs, club updates and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on X and Instagram, so you can go and follow me on both of those platforms. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.